What up, YouTube? What up, what up, what up? Damn, I got all these wires in the background, all these devices charging. Yo, I'm sick of all these chargers and wires. We need one universal charger, that just charges every device with a battery. Like Wi-Fi, it should just exist in the air. All of my devices should be able to be charged by the air. Come on, Elon. Come on, Elon Musk. Let's get it together. Good morning. Woke up feeling pretty good. For the first time in a while, I woke up feeling energized. Like I got a full night's rest and I wake up and I actually feel like I got a full night's rest. You ever wake up and you're just tired and you're like, it's just, you got a full night's sleep. You're eating right, you're hydrated, but you're just fucking tired. That is the worst feeling. I fucking hate I hate fatigue, feeling tired, and just like getting up and then having to go to work. And I think that's a really common problem too, but I feel like that stems from just like living a life that doesn't really excite you, and you're playing into these routines and roles that don't fit, that don't really make you feel like your life belongs to you, like your life is yours. And that's a realization that I came to recently. I'm just like, I want to live a life that's true to my identity. I don't want to just be living a life that looks good on paper and it works technically, but it doesn't like nourish me. I want to live a life that's aligned with my passions. And I feel like whenever we're living a life and following a routine that doesn't really fit with us, we tend to call it burnout or depression. But really we're just living a life for other people and not ourselves. I feel like when you come back to yourself and your passions, when you come back to that life that you imagined, that vision that you imagined for yourself, and you start moving that way, that is what really energizes you. And it brings you back to that part of you that existed before, because there was a version of you that did not experience burnout. All you saw was possibilities and you were excited. You woke up early with all this energy and excitement, and then you couldn't sleep at night because you were working on, your future plans and shit. Like, just getting in that mode is the best feeling. Like like feeling so enthusiastic about life that you don't even want to fucking sleep. Like that is the kind of energy that we need to bring ourselves back to, especially as creative people. Oh man, fuck yeah. I literally can't live without this shit, without caffeine, period. In my past life, I was probably like a caffeine plant. Anyway, yeah man, like getting over burnout for me was just reconnecting with my passions. Because we all have that thing, that idea, that identity that we developed when we were younger. And that thing that you used to talk about all the time, the plans that you used to talk about all the time. We create an identity for ourselves based on the things that we love and that we feel connected to. And we feel like we're made for that thing. Maybe it was creating music, or maybe it was academic pursuits, or acting, and these things make us feel alive, or at least they made us feel alive when we spoke about it, when we learned about it. And then we start to feel like this is what we were meant to do. And then life happens. The bills come, the responsibilities come, the jobs that we take on to survive come. And then we're taught to be realistic and we go into survival mode, especially if you're living in a big city here like New York. Bruh, New York is not for the faint of heart. It is hard to survive here, and it's only getting worse. But life comes with so many responsibilities, and a lot of times we fall into like a place of survival instead of creation. Instead of creating the life that we want and bringing our visions and passions to life, we get stuck into this survival mode and we're just trying to survive in life. So we tell ourselves that we're gonna focus on what's safe right now, and we lock our dreams away in like this mental storage closet, and we tell ourselves that when things calm down we'll get back to those things again, but then that like never comes. And then we start to go down that path of adulting and living a responsible life and blah blah blah, and yeah, that's important, but we start to disconnect from that initial spark that we had, and we don't notice it, but inside of us, that person still exists, you know, that passion still exists. And the farther we disconnect from that, the more burned out we feel and bored we feel, maybe in feelings of depression. Or so you really just got to ask yourself, like, are you really burnt out, or are you just living a life that is based on survival, but it doesn't really identify with you? We have to stop calling burnout maturity, or boredom adulting, or misery just like adulting. And that's not the case. You have to reconnect with yourself and your passions. You have to never let that flame die. And, you know, being able to get over the fear of taking the steps towards unpredictability and a little bit of risk. Because we all have fears of failure. You know, we all have fears of uncertainty. We all have the fear of being broke, trying to pursue a career that might depend a little bit on luck and risk. But, you know, fuck it, because like, if you don't pursue what you're truly passionate about, you're just trading one pain for another. You're trading the pain of uncertainty and risk for the pain of regret. And what's important to realize is that the pain of regret is permanent, because you can't get the time back. If you throw yourself and immerse yourself into a certain direction or try new things and it doesn't work out, or you fail, you can always pivot. You can always try again a different way, but you can't get back lost time. So I feel like we should definitely prioritize not wasting time fearing and doubting yourself when it comes to staying connected to who you truly are and what you like to do, what you truly like to do. So when you finally come back to yourself, it's like all the colors come back into your life. Like you finally feel lit up again. You start creating again. You know, it's just like you start to feel alive again, and that feeling is the best feeling. That is what makes life worth living. And that bleeds out into like your relationships, the conversations that you have start to have life in them again. You know, like the smiles that you have are real instead of just like faking it. That's how I overcame my burnout. It's really hard to be burned out when you're living a life that is yours, that it truly aligns with you. So if you've been feeling off lately, you know, low energy, low drive, you feel like nothing motivates you anymore, nothing excites you anymore, it's because you have chosen a life that doesn't fit. And you don't need to destroy everything and start over. You don't need to completely abandon everything, quit your job and all this crazy shit, but you need to come back to yourself and your truth, and you need to really meditate on who the real you is or was, because that version of you that you miss is still there, and it's still possible to reconnect with that. You know who that version of you is, man. Like, get back to that fucking person, because that's the only way to live. That's the only way to true happiness. Anyway, I'm yapping right now. This is one of my many yap sessions. I'm fluent in Japanese. All right, I'm gonna stop.